So this is a pop-up live. So I don't know if you guys saw, I was on Dr. Dan's show, Dr. Dan Robinson on Melbourne, Australia. That was really fun. Got a little goofier than I expected it to, but you know what? It was 10 o'clock at night at my time. 1 in the afternoon his time, so he was at 1 o'clock rational, and I was at 10 o'clock punchy. Because you guys are used to seeing me be a little punchy, and you don't care. Well, I want to start by saying I went to the annual conference of the National Association of Teachers of Singing, and it was here in Chicago, which was one of the reasons I went. It was right down the street, kind of. Also because the Speakeasy Cooperative was there, and I was part of that whole thing. So it was an interesting thing for me because I have not been a National Association of Teachers of Singing member for very long, only about 2 years, because I didn't feel like they were an organization that was relevant to me as an independent teacher who was teaching popular styles. Afterward, I posted my ideas about the conference, and my reflection was basically, bottom line, that as an organization, it's moving very slowly toward serving the majority of its members. But I read that 70% of NATS, that's the acronym NATS, right? NATS members are independent teachers. If they're independent teachers, they are all teaching popular styles to a greater or lesser degree, because that's what happens when you're an independent teacher. What I said was, if NATS doesn't begin to wrap their collective brains around that reality, if they continue to serve from an academic perspective to people who are training less than 1% of the music that is consumed in the world, that being classical voice, if they continue to cater to that tiny minority, they're going to lose relevance. So that was what my post said, and I got a lot of feedback from that post. Most of the people who gave me feedback agreed with me. And it also got me thinking. Some people will say, well, if you want to change NATS, you should join them. But I don't care enough to join them, so I'm not going to do that. But I do care about the issue. Musicians being fed into what my colleague Dr. Shannon Coates calls the pipeline, and I love that, so I use it all the time. Every young singer who seeks instruction being fed into the pipeline and being taught how to sing Western classical, whether that's their interest or not. So I think that's an issue. I came up with an idea, and I want to share it with you guys today, so stay tuned. I'm Meredith Colby. I'm the author of Money Notes, How to Sing High, Loud, Healthy, and Forever, which introduces neurovocal. Actually, it's more how to sing than how to teach popular styles based on brain science. I am a voice coach specializing in popular styles, and you can schedule directly with me from my website. I also teach classes to voice professionals in neurovocal for popular styles. Confidently inspires amazing tools that people can use in their own studios. Thanks for being here with me today. I want to hear your thoughts. I want to hear your comments now or on the replay. I will get back to you if you comment for sure. My freebie today is a link to a short article which is called 3 Secrets About Pop Singers They'll Never Tell You in College. It's meant to empower you and to help you support your students of popular styles. If you put radical in the comments, I will send you a link to that. No strings attached. If you are watching this on YouTube, then you will find it in the description below. You'll find the link to that. So if you are here on Facebook with me now or in the replay, please don't forget to opt in to be notified when I'm going to go live, because that's fun. I'm going to start with a joke, and you will understand the relevance of this as we go on. This dad buys his son a bass for his birthday. He also buys him bass lessons. The first week, the kid goes to his lessons. He comes back. His dad sees him. He goes, "Hey, son, how's it going? How was the lesson?" And the kid goes, "It was great. It was a great lesson. I learned where E was." He goes, E, plays it. The next week, the kid goes to take his bass lesson. He comes back. His dad's there. He says, "Hey, how did the bass lesson go?" And the kid goes, "It was a good lesson. You know, we reviewed E, and then I learned A. So the third week, the kid goes to his lesson, and he comes back, and his dad goes, "How was your lesson?" And the kid goes, "Oh yeah, you know what? I missed my lesson because I had a gig." Feel free to use that, and you can pretend you made it up. Let's talk about how we teach. Even those of us who have a background as band singers use the same model that we learned in school, which is take a whole bunch of lessons and then show what you've done. Most of us call those recitals. We just spend a lot of time individually, one-on-one with our student for a long time, and then we show what we have accomplished in a performance. That's how we learned. That's what we replicate in our studios. I certainly did for literally decades. That's what I did. That is based on a theatrical model. That's what we base our studio models on. But getting back to the fact that most music is not that, which I will keep coming back to for the rest of my life, I want to suggest something else. At the National Association of Teachers of Singing conference this year, one of the presenters was Eden Castile. Specifically, one of the things that really stuck out for me was her idea of, I think she called it snack-sized performances. So she was suggesting that rather than having 2 recitals a year as a big deal, to sort of make it a smaller deal and have it more frequently. Take your studio on a field trip to open mic, or have a karaoke party, or have one of your students host their own concert in their living room. So little snack-sized performances throughout. So I love that idea. The other thing that leaped to my mind, and I am getting to my point, I swear to you. The other thing is the School of Rock model. So I don't know if you have School of Rock where you live, but in Chicago, we have a number of franchises of the School of Rock. And the way that they do things is that they are not selling lessons. They don't sell lessons. They sell the band. So what they say to you is, we, the band, we're going to have a rehearsal every Thursday night at 5:30. That's when your band meets. There are other bands that meet at other times, but the band that we've put you in meets at 5:30 on Thursday nights, so that's when you're there. The lessons that the people take are sort of in support of that, and they get them for free. So interesting, right? It's a different way of looking at things. And then they have a performance. So that piece is the same. They'll practice behind the scenes and then perform as a big, like, yay, end of semester kind of thing. Different kind of a model. Here's what I want to suggest is that model, the School of Rock model, but maybe even more. If you used this kind of a model as an independent teacher, I'm going to proceed as though you are not on Zoom, that you do have live students. And also the other thing about this is, for an individual, for an independent teacher, this would push you into sort of starting to work with your ideal client, because you probably couldn't manage enough students if you're saying, I teach everything, the way so many of us do or have done historically, but you'll really be serving them in a way you could never serve an I teach everyone kind of studio. Okay. So here it is. It's the School of Rock model. For you, the indie teacher, let's say you say, if you're going to study with me, here's what we do. We spend every Thursday night at 5:30, I don't know why I picked that time, preparing our show. And the show might be scenes so that your singers could work together. It might be a cabaret type thing, or with a theme, like you have to sing a song by a villain. A seasonal thing where everybody's singing songs about spring or whatever. It could be music theater, it could be jazz, whatever. But I'm going to stay with music theater. Everyone has their thing. You have it, and you say, this is what we're doing at 5:30 on Thursdays. That's what you're signing up for. Along with this, you will also get, if you choose to take advantage of this, you will also get 3 lessons a month, private lessons a month. Singing lessons. You will also be assigned a role along with your singing. So you will be in the production values group, makeup group, costumes group. Everybody has to pitch into creating this thing. So by the end of it, you not only have something that everybody's proud of, you have community of singers who know each other and are supporting each other. Can you imagine what this would do for your people with stage fright? If they're, rather than just standing up in front of all the strangers. Like, that's what happens at a recital, right? I don't know any other students in my teacher's studio. I only know me and my teacher and my family, and everybody else is a stranger to me. So now, in my scenario that I just painted, those people have become your friends and your colleagues, and they're supporting you. Or if you have horrible stage fright, the teacher might have said, well then, Angela, since you have horrible stage fright, we're going to make all your stuff duets and trios so that you don't have to stand there all by yourself. So now Angela has this amazing experience rather than just wanting to die because of her stage fright. That's a thought. It could also apply to bands. If you wanted to do like these 3 months we're going to do jazz. These 3 months we're going to do music theater. These 3 months we're going to do Motown. These 3 months we're going to do rock and roll. Right? And so you're like selling the performance rather than lessons. This is my multi-teacher studio idea. Same thing, basically. But multi-teacher studios are perfectly set up for this because they can say, well, each of my teachers has an ideal client. I can give each teacher their ideal client. If it's a small studio, it could be like one teacher per type of music. If it's a bigger studio, the teachers can team up and do it together. How fun is that for the teachers? It's just like, it creates a community of artists, a community of musicians, because in the real world of music, it's a community. People work together. People perform together, throw each other gigs, have parties together. It is a community. Everybody I know in Chicago is a musician, pretty much, because that's my community. In the real world, that's how it is. So now in this multi-teacher studio, you're creating a community just like in the real world. And you're allowing for these different genres to be expressed so that not everybody's just doing music theater because that's what your teachers want to teach, right? If you don't have anybody in your multi-teacher studio who knows how to teach regular sing into microphone PCM popular styles, train them. They got to be trained because that's who's going to stay in your studio. So you might have somebody who deals with the band singers, an acoustic sing-along night, your music theater, your cabaret night. Let's say you have your music theater people and you go, hey, music theater people, we're going to do a little opera this time. What a great opportunity to introduce people to classical singing. Classical singing needs to cultivate the next generation of listeners, right? Just let them sing one song and hear their friends sing a song and do a duet and really enjoy that kind of music. Maybe they will become one of the people who consumes that kind of music. So how fun would that be? If everybody in the multi-teacher studio performs, what if they were given an opportunity to learn an instrument as well? Oh, that's what my joke was about. The bass player, E-E-E-A-A-A, I have a gig. I mean, you let people begin to learn instruments so that they are ready to be musicians. Amy says, I love this so much. Thanks, Amy. I'm glad I'm not the only one who's wound up about this. Because I am. Wendy has people who dance, and some of them dance, and she incorporates the dance while somebody sings. How fun is that? She also says, I have parents who play instruments, and we made up a band to give my students a chance to play lead singer. Great. So much more fun than just the piano. And people could learn an instrument. People could could participate in the production values, right? The lighting, the scenery, the costumes, the makeup, whatever. You could put a person or two on the ticketing and marketing sales. What if that was a thing? So that every 2 months or every 3 months, even every 1 month, they were allowed to invite people. You'd have to work out the specs on this, but they were allowed to invite people to come and hear what they've been working on. They wouldn't just be performing in your practice space. They would also be creating something they can share with their loved ones. Or maybe even those performances are at a level where you can video them and the people can use them for audition tapes. How awesome would that be? This would be the world of music, not just performance. That is what the world of music is, right? I know a guy who went to Indiana University, got a degree in music performance. He's an instrumentalist. And now he is a dresser on Broadway. That's what he does. I think he's doing Aladdin now, is what leaps to mind. But I also know he's booked for the next 2 years. He's booked out into other shows because he's in demand. Not as a saxophonist, no, as a dresser, because he learned how to do that. These are our ideas. I mean, you don't have to do it the way you came up, which is really cool. But what I'm suggesting here is that if you are able to create a culture that is performance down rather than lesson up, then you're messing with their minds. You are creating an expectation that the performing arts is about performing, not about practicing, and that the performing arts is about community, not isolation. And if your students have that assumption about performance and community and personal expression, that's what they assume about what they do, then when they look at those college programs that say, you're going to do our kind of music and you're going to practice until you do a recital all by yourself in your little box, they're going to look at that and they're going to go, what? Why would I want to do that? That doesn't feel creative or supported or anything like what I'm used to. Anything that I knew growing up in the multi-teacher studio that I went to, they're going to say, that's crazy. I don't want to be in that program. And what if there were thousands and thousands of those people who didn't want to be in that competitive, isolated, singular kind of experience? What if they didn't want to be in that? And there were thousands and thousands of them. Do you think maybe the colleges would begin to change a little bit? I do. That's my radical idea. I will be interested to read the comments for this broadcast. Thanks, Wendy. Wendy said, amen. I hope you have a great week, and I will look forward to hearing from you.